In the morning when I rise, give me Jesus.
Good morning. Today we're in 1 Corinthians chapter 10. What a great chapter. It starts out talking about the children of Israel and how the Lord rescued them from Egypt. But as they were going through the desert, it says they went through the Red Sea. You know that story. It talks about how the cloud led them, and God was the cloud by day and even fire by night so that they could follow him. And then it says in verse 4, and all drank the same spiritual drink, for they were drinking from a spiritual rock which followed them, and the rock was Jesus. Now that's pretty cool. But it goes on to say in verse 5, nevertheless, with most of them, God was not well pleased. Well, why was God not well pleased? We see that clearly in Hebrews. Starting in chapter 3, verse 12, and through chapter 4, probably verse 9, 10, 11, it talks about how there is a rest in Jesus, but the children of Israel who went through the wilderness did not enter the rest because we just saw God was not well pleased with them. And why was that? Hebrews 3, verse 17, with whom was he angry for 40 years? Was it not those who sinned, whose bodies fell in the wilderness? So it was the sinners. And to whom did he swear that they would not enter his rest, but to those who were disobedient? It was the disobedient sinners. Verse 19. So we see that they were not able to enter because of unbelief. The disobedient sinners are those who do not believe. Follow on through in Hebrews to chapter 4, verse 2. It says this, indeed, we have good news preached to us, just as they had also. But the word that they heard did not profit them, because it was not united by faith in those who heard. They didn't mix the good news with faith. They didn't believe. And so God was not well pleased with them. Because this is what happens when you don't believe. You follow idols. They were immoral. And they tempted the Lord. And they grumbled among themselves. But now look at verse 13. No temptation has overtaken you, but such as is common to man. We all face the same kind of temptations. God is faithful, though. He will not allow us to be tempted beyond what we are able. Now, I have heard so many conversations about how, see right there, God is bringing bad stuff against you, but he won't bring so much bad stuff that you won't be able to handle it. That's not what this verse says. The enemy comes against us. When you leave yourself vulnerable to the enemy, the temptations come at you strong. But God is faithful. Here's what he does. He will also, with the temptation, provide a way of escape so that you will be able to endure it. Well, that way of escape, it's Jesus. And so when your eyes are on the Lord, that's a way out. And you don't fall into the temptation. Oh, he goes on to talk about the behavior thing. And he says, look, don't sacrifice to idols. Look in verse 20. I say that the things which the Gentiles sacrifice, they sacrifice to demons. And so they fall into the temptation of the demons. Look at verse 21. You cannot drink the cup of the Lord and the cup of demons. You cannot partake of the table of the Lord and the table of demons. Well, you remember in chapters 5 and 6 about the guy that was sleeping with his stepmom, and Paul said, put him out of the fellowship. Why did he say that? Because you can't drink with the Lord and with demons. You can't feast with the Lord and with demons. And that guy was clearly drinking and feasting with demons. And so don't play games with God. He's sacrificing his behavior to demons. Look at verse 23, though. Don't miss the freedom that we have in Christ. Verse 23, all things are lawful. I'm not saying that guy's going to go to hell. What I'm saying is that guy's miserable in this life, so let him wallow in his misery. He's going to realize that what he's doing has no life in it. It is not profitable. That's what it says in verse 23. And then it says again, all things are lawful. Do you remember? Paul said that in chapter 6, and he's saying it again here in chapter 10. All things are lawful, but not all things edify. Oh, we're supposed to build up ourselves in our behavior and others by the things we do and the things we say. Give no offense, that they may be saved. Let the love of God fill you so much that it overflows to others. Behold that today. We'll get together and talk about communion, the bread and the wine that we eat and drink to celebrate what Christ did to set us free. I look forward to being with you tomorrow. God bless you.
Give me Jesus. Give me Jesus. You can have all this world, but give me Jesus.